to my show. I'm the casual engineer and I'm going to have a go at something that I haven't done for a little while. We're going to have a little talk about GPS. I'd just like to provide a simpler explanation because I think everyone's getting really carried away in the technical detail. So let's have a quick look at what Brian's logic has put up and what he's trying to say, and then let's look for a better way to explain how GPS works. Beginning with, let's go with Chrome Share. And this is what Brian has done. He's put up this diagram. He's said a few words now. Hopefully the volume's good for this. Just let me know if it's not. I believe I don't have any viewers here at the moment, so that's fine for me.
Just going to highlight it. Right, we'll refer to this line here, right? This is the receiver here, this dot, right? I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see it, right? And I'll make it like that, right? So it stands out a bit more, right? This is the receiver. Right, it receives a signal from a signal sender, right? Within their paradigm, there are satellites orbiting their globe, right? And it is sending a signal out constantly, constant signals out, and these signals are picked up by receivers. Now, this receiver from a cold start, remember in my last video I stated if I turned it off in the Netherlands and turned it back on a week later in Texas, how is it going to find where it is? Firstly, they also on our opposing side don't seem to realize that because they don't listen to videos, they don't watch them properly, so they don't actually know what's been said. I stated more than one time in my last video that when you are getting 4 or more signals, right, when the receiver is receiving 4 or more signals from 4 or more different random points in the sky, right, that meant I wasn't talking about just one. So, because they think I was talking about just one because I'm showing a two-dimensional diagram. That's how ridiculous it is, right? Because I showed two-dimensional diagrams and I showed two-dimensional moving diagram here. I didn't show any three-dimensional anything with 4 different signals. I don't need to for this, to explain this. It's very simple. And this video here will be very good for flat earthers too. To share with people who are globe followers and globe believers, and to show them how the claims concerning GPS, how they couldn't work even if we were on a globe. So no matter what way you twist or turn it, you're being fooled. That's about the size of it. Now, as I said in my last video, this is not going to be, and the same for this video, this is not going to be about how GPS actually works. That's a different video. That was a different portion of my presentation on it. How I show what actually happens and how it actually works.
Yep. So far, he hasn't said anything sort of out of the ordinary. He's talked about receiver and transmitter. He's still claiming that it can't possibly work, but there's a couple of things about that statement which we'll go into shortly on a simplified system just to show you the basics of trilateration and explain why this is wrong.
The only way it can work, right? This is about how they claim it works and the fact that they're claiming we're on a globe, and how if we even were on a globe, it wouldn't work with the way they claim. So this satellite, right, let's just say, sends out a signal. It's received by this receiver that you turn on as a cold start. You're in Texas, you haven't turned on your receiver for a week, and last week when it was on, you were in the Netherlands. Now you turn it on, it's a cold start. You don't know where you are, the receiver doesn't know where you are. It's getting the signal from the satellite. What does it receive? It receives compass bearing, right? That means the azimuth of the satellite. It receives the angle, right, to the satellite, right? And it receives the time the signal was.
Okay, now we're into a bit of a meaty piece here. The description he just gave, it gives you an angle to the satellite. That's not true at all. It doesn't need an angle to the satellite. I've got modules which are like about the size of a 20-cent piece here in Australia. They are GPS modules. They don't have a compass in them. All they do is pick up the signals from these satellites. Now, what's key to remember is that the way the system works, it doesn't require a compass to find anything. There's no such thing as a north-facing component to this. It simply looks for the satellites and starts trying to work out where it is on the planet. That's it. Where that satellite's sitting, directly below it. It's trying to call it a sub point. It's basically the GP of the satellite on our Earth. This receiver tries to work out that distance, and on the first reception on just one satellite, it cannot work out the distance very accurately. It doesn't know from a cold start anything about the date time until it starts getting enough detail. It does take a minimum of 3 to at least give you an indication of where you are, but it won't be very accurate. So let's have a look at how that process works. We're just going to swap over now to another view I've got, and this is a puzzle which is actually in math behind GPS. If you want to have a look, I'll post that description a bit later. Basically, this is the puzzle he gives. He says there's a ball located 20 meters from the bottom right corner, which is just here. The blue circle is basically representative of a 20-meter object. Because the way this works, my circles don't look great, but they kind of give you the idea. So all we know is that the ball is somewhere around the perimeter of that circle. That's all we know. We do not have enough data of one data point. And the other thing to remember too is that the satellites are not randomly positioned. Their positions are very clearly put into the data they send to you. It's part of something called ephemeris. The ephemeris ensures that you know where that satellite is at a certain date and time stamp. That information is really important. If you don't know its ephemeris, if you don't know its altitude, you have no idea where it is, which makes it randomly positioned. That's not true. The data removes that random position claim and leaves you with something which is far more solid. Now, the next thing he says here, it's 40 meters from the center of the field. Let's draw a circle about double the diameter of the first one and place its center there. And what do you notice? There are 2 places where these 2 circles overlap. Interesting. So the ball might be there and the ball might be there. And the last one says 15 meters. Well, 15 meters is a little bit smaller than the original circle. And it would be placed, okay, I'll probably undersize that a bit for the diagram, but I think we'll get the idea. If it's positioned about there, and what do you see? You can see exactly where that ball is located. The ball is located there, because that's the spot where all 3 circles overlap with each other. Pretty interesting, isn't it? You can actually figure it out, and there was nobody had to have a compass bearing. Nobody had to know where north was. All you had to do was know distances from 3 known locations, and that's exactly how the satellite system works. Nothing more than this. Now, for a satellite system to work, the satellite doesn't just draw a circle on the ground. It's actually like a balloon. When the signal comes out, it's like a balloon that you're inflating. As you inflate the balloon inflates in all directions. The balls get thinner, but what you have is that balloon effectively intersects the surface of the Earth, and you get a conical shape based on the distance around the GP. That's what you're looking for, but you can't calculate that out properly. With 1, you cannot get it with 2, you have to have 3. Now, why does trilateration talk about having a 4th one? Because the 4th one is how you get your time correction, which now improves your accuracy and starts giving you all the other calculated values. Through 3, I've definitely got my XY, basically my Cartesian coordinates on the surface of the Earth. I've got that. Put the 4th one in, now you've got a time correction, and that means you can get yourself down to something like 5 meters with your phone. And that's it. This is not very hard. So the people that have listened to Brian, we did ask him a couple of questions on his actual video at the time, and he wasn't too keen to hear anything. Everyone kept going, no, you have to have a bearing, and we've just demonstrated from this, you don't need a bearing if you can just map out where those circles are. Where they cross over, that is your location. And guess what? This looks very similar to how you would do celestial navigation by plotting 3 circles on the Earth and saying my position is where those 3 intersect. Gee, that wasn't hard, was it? Well, Brian, I can't help noticing when you asked the question, like, how does it get its bearing? You just avoided it. You really shouldn't do that. That's completely inappropriate. And it does show that you haven't really looked at how these things work at all. And I've broken down the mechanics. I've even found a website where this was put, and it explains it in really simple terms. If this is the principle for GPS, and you can do it with 3 circles and no bearings, why does the GPS still need a bearing? It clearly doesn't. In any case, guys, I think I'm done. Really like to say one thing very, very important, of course, and that's this. It's all snake oil, guys. Wake up to yourselves because you're just selling snake oil. And back to me. Okay, I'm done. If I've done anything wrong, as always, tell me down there in the comments. I'm more than happy to be corrected. Thank you all very much for watching. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought. Do you think I could do better? Was I loud enough? Was I too soft? Was the audio from the guest that I was reviewing of sufficient volume for you to hear? Please, any feedback is always welcome. That's how this works. I want your feedback so I can do a better job of this. In any case, it's time for me to simply say, have a good night, everyone. Bye for now.